guys, thanks for joining me today. Today we will talk about REST API responses. It is imperative to understand how one should return to REST API call. In REST, if you are responding to client with plain string or JSON object, that is not enough. Lot of importance is given to HTTP status and response header. So I would recommend to send complete info to the client with proper response body, HTTP status and header. Response header and response body sometimes you can ignore. And HTTP status is more than enough for client to understand. The best way to respond in REST using response entity. Again, response entity is an extension of HTTP entity with add-on HTTP status. So you might have used HTTP entity for responding in MVC architecture of a Spring. Same way, we will be using response entity. Response entity actually utilizes the feature of HTTP entity and add-on HTTP status. Response entity object can be sent using different constructor uses or by using a static method. So when you want to send only a status, you can simply send by response entity dot status and whatever status you want to send, and body you can make it null. Simply a status and header, you can send it through a status, header and build. And finally, you want to send a status to the client where you wanted to include HTTP status, header, body, everything. So that can also be achievable. In the whole scenario, HTTP status has a lot of importance in REST API. So whatever you are sending in HTTP status, that makes a lot of sense to the client. And in this particular video, to understand how to respond to the client, what we will do is we will focus on 200 series only. Okay, if you will see the complete series of HTTP status, then we have 100 series, 200 series, 300 series, 400 series and 500 series. We will focus mainly on 200, 400 and 500 series. So in this video, we will talk about only 200 series. 400 series and 500 series we will discuss in our next video. We will talk about exceptional handling. There we will talk about 400 and 500 series. So primarily we will take a look on 200 series, in which we will focus on 200, 201, 204 and 202. So these are the main response status which we will take here today with the help of response entity object, and we'll try to understand how one should reply to the client in REST API. The best approach we are going to discuss. So guys, without further ado, let's go to the system and start our coding. Okay guys, so let's start our coding. So we have to develop a Spring Boot application. Uh, so basically in that Spring Boot application, what we are going to do is we will create a student management system sort of thing. So basically we will have one application where we'll have all the functionality where we can save a student object, we can fetch or retrieve that student object, we can delete that student object, also we can update that student object. So these are the crude operation that we are going to perform against a student object, okay, or a student entity, or we can call it a student domain also. Okay, so before we do anything else, what we can do is we will go for a Spring initializer and get our project created. So what we will do is we will go for a Spring initializer. This is the site, Maven project, Java, okay, and 2.4.5 we will go with the latest. We will go for com.alosha. This will be what will be the name, something like response rest. Okay, demo project for a Spring Boot response to the client. Okay, jar, and JDK version is 8. So we'll add some dependencies. So what dependency we will need? A web, we need a Spring Data JPA also. Okay, data, Spring Data JPA. We need H2 database also. So these are the three dependencies. Spring Data, I believe we are good. So you can see the pom.xml. So we have everything here. Data JPA, starter web. There are two, a starter data JPA and a starter web, and we have a database, that is H2 database, which is something like a runtime database, which we can have either in file or in the RAM. We'll see. We'll go for download. It's get downloaded. I will paste the downloaded file into my code repository, and then I will extract it. So this is the project location. What I will do is I'll go here, I will give a right click here, and I'll go for import options, existing Maven project that we have to select. You can go ahead here, existing Maven project. Maven project. Okay, next, and here you have to give the location of your okay. This is the location of our project. It will take some time to build and download the dependencies. Okay, so this is what we got, response rest. And if you will see here, then the base class of a Spring Boot is already present. Okay, we are good. If you will see here, we have all the dependency, whatever we have given at the time of building this project already here. Now what we need to do is we'll create a class. Okay, response rest dot data access object DAO dot entities. We'll create a student class. Okay, and properties are, first thing is private long student ID, and that will be the primary key. So the first thing is, since this is a data JPA, so you have to annotate it with entity. Corresponding table will be created into the database. The student ID will be primary key, so you need at ID, and then we don't want to create that primary key by ourselves. We want JPA to create that sequence, so we can simply make use of generated value. Done. That is the student ID, private, then long, then I can go with registration number, which will be a unique key, so I can go with column, and here you can go for unique constant is equal to boolean. Sorry, boolean means true. Okay, now I will go for private string student name and private string student age, that will be int. Okay, done. Now what we need to do is we will need to get getter and setter. So Alt Shift S, and we will go for select all, and we will create corresponding getter and setter. So this is what the entity class which is ready. Now what we need to do is for this entity we have to create corresponding repository. So repository will be an interface. Okay, so dow.repo, and here the name will be student repo, and we have to add, so just go for JPA repository. Okay, done. Okay, and here you have to annotate it with repository. Good. This will be the entity class which your repository is going to manage. So we are going to manage a student, correct? So a student, and this will be the primary key type, so that is long type, correct? So we are good. Repository is done, entity is done. Now what we have to do is we need to go for service class, which will make use of repository and do all the transaction thing. So dow service, now in the actual base package service, and then we will go for rest rest service. Again, you can name it based upon your project naming convention. This needs to be service. Okay, treated with service. And here what we need is a student repo. This we will auto wire here. Done. Now first method what we will do is we'll create for save a student public, and we will respond to the same saved object also. So save student. Here we will get student as the parameter, and we'll call student repo dot save and student, and we will return the same entity. Okay, we have to import it. Done. This is for create resource or create a student. We are using this method. Now save a student, we will go for retrieve a student. Method name will be retrieve a student, and in this case what we will do is we will try to access it through, either we can access it through ID, that is primary key, or registration number, that is one of the unique key that we have created. So by default there will be a method by which you can access a student object. Find by ID, there is a method. So student repo dot find by ID, so that is corresponding to the primary key of that entity, so that ID we have to give. So but there is no method for find by registration number. So what we will do is we will create a method here. Signature only we have to create public, and this will return student object, and it will not return more than one because registration number is a unique field. Okay, find by, and you can see registration number, find by registration number. So this is the exact name, we need to have it here. Only the first letter needs to be capital, and here I believe int is the, Okay, long is this, so we'll go with long, and registration number. Okay, so there will be not any implementation. So this we have created automatically. Spring Boot will create the implementation of this method. Okay, only naming convention you have to make sure, find by, then name of that parameter, the first letter needs to be capitalized. Done. So what now we will do here is, it will come as a long registration number and return and student repo dot find by registration number. So guys, also note here, these things whatever we are doing right now is we are making a project structure where we will focus mainly on how to respond to the client. So I'm just making a structure for you now so that I can explain you. Okay, so if you will save all, then corresponding method will be there. So now we are done with two method. So include, create is done, retrieve is done. Update we'll take care later on, but let's focus on delete. So in delete, simply go for delete a student. Okay, and let's say they will give us registration number, and we have to delete that corresponding student. So what we need to do is, in that case we will return void. Okay, and here the student, that will be persisted student, and from here what we will do is a student dot repo delete persisted student, and this we need only to do when persisted student is not equal to null. Done. This is for delete. So service class is ready. Now what we have to do is, we have to create controller dot controller, and here response rest controller, and this needs to be annotated with rest controller, and what we need to do is public student and then save the student, and here at request body. So from client we'll get in request body a student of object student. This needs to be post mapped at the rate post mapping, and here value, and this is save simple. Okay, and here what we need to do is, we need to get rest response rest service. This is what we have created our service class. So we just need to annotate it with auto-wire. Okay, and then service dot save a student, and the same will be returned. Okay, done. So what we are doing here is we are saving that as student and we are simply returning saved as student. Nothing else we are doing. Okay. Okay. We are all set with the code. Now what we need to do is we have to configure some of the application.properties parameter in order to use H2 database. So something like spring dot data source, spring dot data source dot username. Okay, data source dot password dot driver dot URL. Okay, spring dot h2 console enabled true, so enabled spring dot jpa so sql true. Okay, that will be admin, password will be admin, driver will be org dot h2 driver, spring data source URL will be jdbc h2, and this will be the file location. So basically I don't want in memory, I just wanted to get db thing done in a file. So what I'll do is I'll just go to this location, I'll just go to this location, and here we'll create something like a student response rest. This will be our db. Okay, so that will auto create it. So nothing else we need, we are all set. Okay, so now what we need to do is we'll just go to our class and run as Spring Boot app. Okay, okay, where it is in use. Okay, we'll just run it now. So H2 console is enabled and everything is started. So what we will do is we'll just go for H2 console first. So local http localhost colon 8080 H2 console, and here this will be driver class, and what you need to do is jdbc URL copy it from the application.properties. So this is our application.properties. We'll just copy it here. Okay, admin, we are able to connect. Okay, right now no classes are there. Why? Because we have not added ddl thing in our application.properties. So spring dot hibernate ddl, this spring jpa hibernate ddl, that we need to have either create or update. Create means whatever entity is there, that will be created at the time of the startup of the container. Update means, and it will in the in create whatever created at the time of a starter, that will be drop at the time of shutdown also. So every time a new schema will be created, but we don't want in that manner. What we want is we just wanted to create, if something changes there then we want to update, but we don't want to drop. Okay, so that's why we will go with update. Okay, so we need to restart. So let's shut down it, and then again we'll go for Just save it and we'll go for this guy and we will run it once again. Okay, so now if you will go here, you have to refresh and again log in. Okay, and now you can see a student entity got created. Okay, so now what will, if we'll go for this, then nothing is there right now. So let's go to the postman and okay, just click on say here, and now what we will do is we'll go for post, correct, because the method is post in our REST controller. This is post mapping. Okay, so http localhost colon 8080 slash save and post. This is the URL. Now come to body. Here you have to select raw, go for JSON, and now you have to create the JSON object. So JSON object will be corresponding to the entity. So what entity we have? These guys. Okay. So the student ID is anyway backend is going to generate. Spring Boot is going to generate with the help of JPA. So registration number, registration number is 1, that is long, and okay, student name is string. So testing, okay, comma, here also we have to give comma, and now a student age. Let's go for the student age is 30. Okay, now what we need to do is we are good here, so we just need to make a call. If any error, then we will able to see here. So let's clean it up. Now see, so okay, this is a student we got. Okay, the problem here is you got complete student object. Okay, 200 response. Okay, but this is 200 is just like a client sent some request and server is good to process it. It is not giving us exact response code what we are looking for. Server is saying you have sent me some request and I have processed it, and finally it sent the student object also, and it is giving us 200. 200 is something like the request is successfully served by the server. But in this case, actually we need some more meaningful response. Let's say we are expecting, actually 201 is the status code which defines some resource has been created at the server end. First thing. Second thing is, let's say client wanted to get location or path of that particular resource from where they can access that resource. So like they can give the location of that resource by which later on same client can access the resource. Okay, so response header also makes a lot of difference in this case. So what we will do is now shut down it, and here in controller we are going to create a response entity. So what we will do is we will return with response entity, and the type of response entity, it's a generic type. It will accept what type of response entity? It will accept a student. Okay, so that's what we have to send. So what we will do is we will make use of different different static method of response entity. First thing is a status. So here what we will do is http status dot created. So that status we are going to send. Then a response header. So this header we are going to send. Right now that's okay, null. Okay, but let's create http header. Okay, so what we need to do is we will send the location of this resource. Okay, how? So basically first thing is we will make a call to service dot save, and here we'll get a student object persisted student, that will be saved the student object. Now what we will do is create a URI java.net location is equal to servlet URI component builder, that's what we have to access, dot from current request dot path. So here path will be something like slash registration number dot build, here URI variable that we have to get. So we'll get persisted student dot get registration number. Done. Now here what we will do is now http header we will create, and that will be header is equal to new http headers dot set location. So and now we are using same header here. Done. And then we'll go for body, and body will be persisted student. Done. Now we are sending a complete info with proper http status, with proper header and proper body. So header will have location information. So what we will do is let's start it. So run as Spring Boot app. Done. We'll go here, and then again we will make a call, but registration number is a unique field, so we'll get error if again we are sending with 1. So what we'll do, we'll go for 2, and now you can see you got response, and here status is 201. The request has been fulfilled and resulted in a new resource being created at the server end. In header you can see location. Location is this. Basically by using this location you can access the resource, but right now we have not defined proper mapping with the registration number. So what we will do is now we will go ahead and create another REST API to fetch a student using registration number. So just stop it, and now go to the controller, and now what we will do is this is for save. Okay, so basically this should not be having any of verb in your URL. So let's make it a student. Okay, that is not good. So student is okay. So again student, and this needs to be plural. So students. These are URI builder rule. So if you are not aware of, then please have a look of my another video where I talk about REST API. Okay, in 1 hour, how to start REST API in 1 hour, so that you can have a look, where I have defined how to, what are the best rule to make your URI. Okay, so registration number. Okay, and that will be a get mapping. Okay, and this will be save student. No, this will be retrieve student, and here we have to go for path variable registration number, and here long registration number. Okay, service dot retrieve student, and that will return the persisted student. And in this case what we have to do is we don't need any location sort of header, so that is okay. And we need HTTP status anyway we need. So HTTP status dot created dot body persisted student. Okay, so it will send response with proper status, and in this case it just need okay, that is 200, it got processed successfully, and then body. Okay, body of the object. Save, again start it. Okay, now what we will do is we'll go for get, and that will be student slash 1, that's what we are going to access. Send, and you can see here we got object and proper status. There is no header or something like that. We can add header also, but for now I don't need, so I just return with proper status and the body. Okay, so now just stop it, and what we'll do is we'll go for delete. So again in controller @ delete mapping, and we will create a method for delete mapping. Retrieve is delete a student, we'll go for delete a student, and okay, this will be delete mapping, same registration number. We'll find that student, then we will make a call something like service dot delete student. So basically we need not to make sure whether, or by making use of retrieve we can make sure whether a student exists or not, but that we are taking care in delete student itself. So this will return nothing to us, this returns void. Okay, and what we will do here is response entity status. So HTTP status moved permanently. No, this we don't, no content. Yeah, so we'll go with HTTP status no content, and body we don't need anything, so body null, and here we can send void. Okay, V capital in void. So we are good. Here what we need to do is now just start it. Okay, now again we'll go for, so right now we are going for get, so we are getting this. What we will do is we will go for delete. Okay, and as soon as we will go for delete option, this will be deleted. So now 2 not 4 no content and there is no body, which is good. So now what we'll do is we'll go for get call, and then you can see it is giving us they are able to process this, but somehow we don't have any response body. Meaning is, so basically in this scenario it has to give me 404 resource not found. But again that is something where you have to define proper exceptional handling sort of thing. When there is no response for any get request, then you have to throw an exception, that is 404 exception, correct? But right now it is not present, so we'll see that in our exceptional handling thing. But for now you don't have any body because that we deleted already. But if you will go for 2, then you will have body. You can delete that as well. Simply go for delete and you are all set to delete. Okay, so we have seen different response entity, how we can send response, proper response using response entity. Rather than going for a static method of response entity, you can simply make use of different constructor also. New response entity, here you can see response HTTP status, or what we can do is for at least one, I'll show you how to do that. So right now for create, what we will do is we'll just remove this and we'll go for new response entity. Okay, so body, header and a status. Okay, so the response entity is equal to, okay, that will be student, and this will be persisted student headers. Okay, and then http status dot created. Then we'll send return response entity. This will also do the same. Okay, okay, so these are done. Now we have make use of constructor thing to create response entity. So either you can make use of constructor or you can call a static method of response entity to make use of HTTP status, header and body. Okay, so what we will do now is we'll again restart it. So let's start it. Very good, it got started. Now we'll come in Postman and then we'll go for this URL, then we'll go for post, and registration number we'll go for again 1 because 1 we deleted. Okay, we'll see what response we'll get. So registration number 1, student ID 3, so again that got created. This restaurant ID is something which is auto generated, JPA is managing. Now again we'll go for registration number 3 and then we'll make a call. So we have right now 3 objects with registration number 1, 2 and 3. What we will do is, so basically you can see we are getting the same response where 201 created, body and header. Okay, so this is well and good enough. Actually we can go for update also. Update is very easy. In the case of update, you will not send 201 response, rather you will send 200 response. So simply you will replace it with OK. Okay, simply. But I'll not go for update. Update thing is very similar. First thing is, what we need to do here is by using the same method, we can go for update also. In this case, what we have to do is basically by using this student. So we have to fetch the registration number, and then by using the registration number, we will make a call to retrieve a student. If a student is present, you will get a none null, means that a student object will not be null. So you have a student object into your database, correct? In that case, you will simply make a call to save. Okay, or better what I can do is I'll show you how to go for update also. Okay, so we got a student. So from a student we will get registration number. So what we will do is long registration number is equal to a student dot get registration number. So we have registration number. Now by using this registration number, we will make a call to get a student. Service dot retrieve. Okay, so here we will go with student persisted student is equal to, okay, so if persisted student is not equal to null, then it is an update request. And then finally what we will do is from persisted student we will get ID. So get a student ID. Okay, so we'll go for long persisted ID is equal to, and then in this new student we will save that persisted ID dot set that is persisted ID, and then we will save that service dot save student. Okay, and that will return okay. What we'll do is we'll update that persisted student, that will actual, and if this is not the case, then what is going to happen is else it is a create request, and in that case what we need to do is simply we'll make a call, done. A status is going to differ, so what we will do is we will, okay, http status So here HTTP status is equal to dot OK. Okay, so here what we will do is, in the case of update we will go for OK only. In the case of create we will go for created. Okay, so we are just updating the status. Okay, now we can check this and we are going to use that status here. Okay, so very simple. Now what we will do is we'll run it. So right now it's stopped. Let's run it. Okay, so this object is already created. So if you will go here, or what we will do is we will create a new object, registration number 4. Okay, and then we'll see body. Okay, student ID 5, registration number 4, 201 created, and here you can see it is a create request, that is also there. Now again we will make the same call. So you can see it is a update request, correct? You are getting 200 response in this time. So you are making the same call, same URL, same post method, and you are getting different status because it is a update request. You can say here it is an update request. So basically by this you can manage your response, okay, by using response entity. Also you have two ways to manage your response entity, by using constructor or using different static method of response entity. Okay, so guys, please make use of response entity. It is very important because when you are developing any REST API, it is prime important that how you are responding to the client. So your response should be very much descriptive and it has all the information which a client needs in order to understand how the request has been processed by the server. So it is very important to use some sort of object which gives proper definition to the client for the request, the way the request has been processed. Okay, so please subscribe to the channel if you are not already subscribed. Also like, share and comment on videos. Okay guys, so I will connect with you on my next video where we will talk about exceptional handling in REST. And please do suggest me if you want to suggest anything related to this video, where how to handle response in REST API. So that will be most welcome. Thank you guys. Once again, thank you.